1045A. Representative Kotek.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, I am pleased to bring before you today Senate Bill 1045A, the Job Applicant Fairness Act, for your consideration today. This bill is about fairness to the thousands of unemployed Oregonians who are trying to get a job in this difficult economy. This bill is about leveling the playing field for unemployed men and women who are qualified to work, who are trying to get back into the workforce, but who face barriers to employment because of their credit histories. By passing this bill today, we give hope to many Oregonians who just want a fair shot at a job based on their experience and qualifications, not on their credit standing, due to circumstances often beyond their control. Senate Bill 1045A removes barriers to employment for many Oregonians by limiting the use of pre-employment credit checks. Credit history checks are becoming increasingly common as a pre-employment screening tool, just as people's credit has been thrown into turmoil because of the recession. With long-term unemployment at 11% statewide and much higher in many counties, with over 200,000 Oregonians on unemployment benefits, and with 50 applicants for every good job, this is certainly the right time to set restrictions on how a person's credit report can be used for hiring and other employment purposes. A 2009 survey by the Society for Human Resource Management reports that 60% of employers check a job applicant's credit history before making a hiring decision. This widespread use of credit screening for employment purposes is troubling for three reasons. First of all, the information is often inaccurate. Errors plague the credit reporting systems. Estimates of serious errors range as high as 25% of all consumer credit reports. Typical errors include credit reporting agencies mixing the files and identities of consumers, creditors causing mistakes by attributing a debt to the wrong consumer or incorrectly recording payment histories, and the obvious fallout caused by identity theft. Opponents of the bill will tell you it's easy to correct these errors, but first you need to know about them, and you need the time to fix them. And a job offer will come and go before a person can correct the error. In the economic climate right now, a job seeker is unlikely to have the luxury of time and a do-over with an employer. Second, using credit reports to screen job applicants punishes people for financial problems beyond their control. Job seekers in this poor economy are in a catch-22 situation. They're unable to improve their credit by getting a job and income because their credit history may be preventing them from getting a job in the first place. Many people are on the cusp of missing mortgage payments, not making rent, or not paying their bills on time. Many have already been overwhelmed by financial hardship and have lost their homes to foreclosure, declared bankruptcy, or damaged their credit history with a litany of late payments. We have heard from people throughout Oregon who are hopeful that we will curb the use of pre-employment credit checks. They have shared their stories with us. Jennifer Keenan from Portland had this to say, quote, "Even before the recession hit, I was carrying a large personal debt. A string of family setbacks, including the death of my father and the need to take care of my younger sister, added to the debt I had from student loans. Starting the job search as a young college grad in the middle of a recession was hard. The worry of an employer checking my credit made it even worse. Now I work as a human resource professional responsible for conducting applicant reviews, and I still believe that credit checks have no place in the hiring process," unquote. The third reason why the use of credit history checks is troubling is that there's no proven correlation between credit history and job performance. There's also no proven correlation between credit standing and potential criminal activity or propensity for fraud. Even a representative from TransUnion acknowledged during a public hearing back in January in front of the Senate Commerce and Workforce Development Committee, he said, and I quote, "At this point, we don't have any research to show any statistical correlation between what's in someone's credit report and their job performance or their likelihood to commit fraud." The one study we could find that investigated credit history as a predictor of employee turnover concluded, and I quote, "While intuitively a credit history is measuring responsibility and the ability to meet deadlines, in practice this measure is contaminated by many other factors outside an employee's control, as well as inaccuracies. From a practical standpoint, there is no benefit from using credit history to predict employee performance or turnover," unquote. Despite the problems inherent in using them, some employers have made credit history checks part of their pre-employment screening process. Senate Bill 1045A recognizes this and seeks to balance longstanding employer practice with an acknowledged need for more fairness for job applicants. First of all, nothing in this bill restricts an employer's access to other pre-employment screening tools, such as criminal background checks, employment history checks, and educational background checks. These are all reasonable ways to help an employer make an informed hiring decision. While passage of this bill would make it an unlawful employment practice to use a credit history for employment purposes, the bill exempts the following types of employers from this prohibition: federally insured banks or credit unions, employers who are already required by state or federal law to use credit reports, law enforcement and public safety employers, and employers who can show that credit history is substantially job-related and who disclose to the job applicant or employee the reasons in writing for the use of such information. This last provision, the general exception for jobs for which information from a credit history is substantially job-related, was language brought forth by Oregon business groups. This is a less restrictive standard than the one in the original bill and is language that has been in Washington state law since 2007. Associated Oregon Industries is neutral on the bill because of this language. To sum up, colleagues, you will note from the number of floor letters on your desk today that this bill has broad support from consumer groups, housing and social service agencies, labor organizations, and advocates who work to end sexual assault and domestic violence. As Oregon's economy improves, I believe it's our responsibility not only to help our constituents overcome challenges in the short term, but also to anticipate problems on the horizon and craft good public policy that creates smoother sailing in the near future. This is what Senate Bill 1045A does. It balances the needs of employers while also leveling the playing field for unemployed Oregonians who desperately want to get back to work, but who may have had credit history problems that are creating a wall between themselves and renewed financial stability. Please help Oregonians today get back to work. I urge your aye vote on Senate Bill 1045A. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.